All right, top five Titans. The only rules were that there was no positional value involved. It was strictly who the best players are. And also, everybody had to play at least 500 snaps, unless they were at like 495, in which case I would make an exception. For number five, we have Arden Key, who is a very balanced edge rusher. He was PFF's 42nd ranked edge, and he was super versatile in the sense that he had a nice 69 run defense grade and a 68 pressure grade. That combined with each other goes to show that he had no weakness whatsoever. And as a whole, he was, very reliable. The number four player, Harold Landry, he was tied for sixth in stops, which is a stat that looks at the opportunistic opportunities for your defense as it relates to tackles. So if you get a stop, you probably tackle a player for like, say, a 3 yard gain on first and 10. Or you could tackle a player for a 7 yard gain on third and 20. It would still be, helpful to the team in a vacuum to make those plays. So that's what stops are. He was fifth most in edge snaps. So he was always on the field and he was always productive, I would say. He had a ranking of 36 for all edge rushers. That definitely doesn't sound the best, but there's 119 edge rushers in the league. So being 36 is actually pretty good. So he was a very valuable piece to the Titans defense. He, like Key, doesn't really have any weaknesses, and he can be used in stunts. He can be used, just as a straight blitzer. He can be useful in a variety of ways. Number three is the first offensive player for the Titans in Calvin Ridley, who had very interesting stat distributions. He was 10th in yards per reception. So you might be thinking like, "Ooh, this guy's elite." No, he's not elite. He's definitely good, but he's not elite. He was then 39th in PFF grade, which that sounds a little bit more, I think, in line with what Titans fans saw from him. He wasn't bad, but he just wasn't, like ahead of the elite receivers, which if you're the 10th best, you're going to be ahead of a lot of great receivers. So I think 39 is probably closer to reality than 10. Like he might be, in the 20s, so he might be like kind of in between them. But I just think like the intensity of how good he is closer to 39 than it is 10. He's a good route runner though. He provides a reliable target for any receiver, even Will Levis, who, doesn't always get the ball out to him, but he makes himself available and he has pretty good hands. I think sometimes his hands have been a question mark, but overall he is a good player for sure. At number two, we have a guy that's definitely not a household name, but honestly should be because what he does is super valuable and he does it at a super high level. Tavondre Sweat is PFF's ninth best run defensive tackle. He is super stout in that regard. He's a mammoth. I don't even remember like how big he is. He's like, I want to say like 360 or so. He's huge. And he doesn't move like that. He's, pretty quick. Definitely for his size, he's quick. And, he has some speed to him as well. There's a difference between quick and speedy. You might be hearing that and thinking I'm being redundant, but no, there's, those are two different things, and he's good at both. And he was 24th in stops as well. So he was making, you know, nice tackles often, but where he really stands out is he's just going to hold up and not get pushed around even by double teams. And that allows everybody else to stay clean. So it's very valuable. And overall, he was the 15th best defensive tackle according to PFF out of 126. So he was really good this year. Somebody that outshined him, though, and there's not really a shame in being outshined by Jeffrey Simmons because Simmons was second in stops for defensive tackles, so he was making plays, and he was 15th in pressures for defensive tackles. He was doing it all. He was stopping the run at elite level. He was getting after the quarterback. As a whole, he was ranked PFF's 8th best defensive tackle. So, that I think is appropriate. I think maybe you could place him even higher. Um, I'm not sure exactly where I would put him because there are a lot of good defensive tackles, but he's right in the mix with them. Like, he's as good at defending the run as any of them, and he's not far behind as a pass rusher. He's tasked with a lot of difficult assignments too because most of the time he's getting double teamed. I don't know exactly what his double team rate was, but just looking at the team, if I was an offensive coordinator, I would be, thinking, hey, we got to stop Simmons from wrecking the game. Obviously, Sweat is good. Landry and Key are good as well. But Simmons is the real game wrecker. And Sweat is not really much of a pass rusher. He can do it a little bit. Like, he can, close in the pocket with power. But he's not going to win, the finesse way that Simmons is able to do. And Simmons also wins with power. But, like, he's very good at, winning every which way. So Simmons was definitely in, a hard position, but he still was shining very brightly. Those are my thoughts on the top 5 Titans. Be sure to let me know what yours are in the comments section. Also, be sure to like and subscribe for more football content.